So consumer spending has been affected, or growth in consumer spending has been affected by higher interest rates, but also the housing market has been affected, although probably the bigger factor slowing things down quite considerably in the housing market has been policy, specific housing policy at all levels of government, from the federal to provincial and even to at the municipal level. Probably less here in Mississauga, but in Toronto as well. What we've seen since the peak in somewhere in 2016, a significant slowdown in home resale activity. We've seen prices also kind of even falling a little bit last year, or kind of stabilizing at this stage. And this is true in Mississauga. From the peak that we saw in home resale activity in Mississauga back in the middle of 2016, I believe the home resale fell by about 40%, which is quite significant, but also it speaks to the kind of strength that we saw back then. So much slower activity. Again, this is by policy design. This is what governments from the federal to the provincial in particular were trying to do. We had an overheated market in 2016 and early 2017. It brought a lot of concern about some kind of bubble that may be bursting and causing a lot of trouble. The Fair Housing Plan in April 2017 was the big piece at the provincial level here. But the stress test that was put in place by the federal government, well, the OSFI, the bank regulator, and that kicked in on January 2018, was probably the one element, the one factor that contributed to a significant cooling 2018 to this day today. I do believe that the stress test is still having an impact on home buyers as we speak. Now, with respect to prices in Mississauga, we saw a little bit of a dip last year. Now we're back. Prices are moving up, but very slowly again, which to me speaks to a fairly healthy market. There's still a lot of demand out there. If anything, when you look on the supply side in terms of home listings or home available for sale, things look still a little bit tight in Mississauga. So I don't know if we have anyone in the real estate industry here. What I hear is that there's still a little bit of a lack of listings out there because the demand is still strong in the Mississauga area. It's a very desirable city to live in. And the reason prices are not picking up is the market gets a little bit tighter. So I'm not concerned about a housing crash, certainly not in Ontario. Maybe if we're talking, if I was in Vancouver, it might be a bit of a different story there. Things look pretty weak in Vancouver after having been into the stratosphere not that long ago. But in Ontario, GTA and Mississauga in particular, I think the market is still pretty solid. It doesn't mean that you should expect that prices are going to shoot right up again. I think if there were signs that prices are going to pick up a little too much, I think this is where policymakers, either the finance minister in Queen's Park and others, were going to say, no, we're not going back there again. We're going to do something to moderate things. So I just don't see the housing market heating up or overheating in the short term. Now, what that means, though, is that going forward, the kind of cooling we've seen, it's going to be, yes, a little bit of a recovery in terms of home resale across the province and GTA, but it's going to be a slower grind, which is fine. I think this is, you have to see this as a good outcome. What we had in 16 and early 17 was not something that was really desirable for the market. And prices, we saw in GTA a little bit of a decline last year. We think it's going to be about flat this year, which too, if you're a millennial and looking to make the jump into the housing market, at a minimum, you want prices to stay flat for a period of time. And if anything, you're looking for prices to come down to a certain extent because the market is really not affordable for first-time home buyer. That's an issue that's going to, in my view, going to persist for a period of time until we seriously address the supply side of things. And I think municipal governments in particular have to expedite projects to address the very strong demand for housing that's out there.